Oh, now it has a time. See, now this one has a time, how much time left. The other one didn't.
Hmm. Does it buzz you early, or does you just got to keep an eye on it?
I just have to keep an eye on it. That's why I keep checking. But as long as an hour is an hour. And after last night missing like 5-10 minutes of an interview, I'm getting a little more paranoid. But I just want to make sure every once in a while if it doesn't run. I think the beeping's off, so that's why I'm periodically making sure it's still going. I should be checking tapes. I didn't check the last tape. We'll find out if there's any technical difficulties. I want to ask you about the firehouse.
Yeah, we're up to that point. With the house on Bronick Lane.
So with that, you got what year did you join and why?
Let me see, 70. 72 was that? I think it was. Can't remember. Yeah, I think it was 72. Well, you got to remember the house where it was situated, and the neighbor directly behind us was Nels Anderson, also known as the chief. And I found out later, of course, that fire companies are always recruiting people. So he talked to me a couple of times about it, and at that point, I really couldn't see. I mean, of course, it was at one point still working the 2 jobs, and I gave up the silo job out there. And he eventually convinced me to stop over. Just come on over for a meeting, talk to the guys, sit around. And Swede was a nice guy. He was Swedish, but he was a nice guy. In fact, many a time, on a nice warm summer day, it was sort of the mustering point, his garage, or more to the point around his refrigerator in his garage, which was filled with beer. Anyway. So yeah, he was always out recruiting. So I went over one time and talked to them for a while, and I don't know, no particular reason. I just thought it sounded interesting. I don't mind giving back to the neighborhood. I always thought the neighborhood was very good to us as a whole, for many reasons, and I certainly didn't see me volunteering at the library. That wasn't my thing. So fire companies seemed to appeal. So we said, yeah, let's give this a try. And there were definitely some interesting years. They were a lot of fun. I mean, I meet some really crazy people there. Now that's but nice people. Went to a lot of Christmas parties. In fact, for many years, while you guys were still younger, 12 and under, I never went to the company Christmas parties because they were almost always coincidental. And since we were very much involved in fact, that was one of the committees I was on, of course, the toy committee every year. Mom, myself, and Ben Gerhardt, his wife, and Alex Turco and his wife. So that was a blast. I mean, you used to go with somebody else's money, you check in your pocket, and everybody grabbed a cart and spread out, with a shopping list. We'd load everything up and go back to the firehouse and wrap it that night. So it was all ready for the Christmas party, whoever Santa Claus may have been.
The Christmas party was fun every year. Halloween was fun there as well.
Yeah, they still do both. They arrange it a little differently. Everybody who heads committees always changes things to suit themselves. We didn't have too many hard and fast rules. It was a budget. This is what basically if you simply divided it by the number of children you had in there, and this is what you're able to spend. Now, obviously, you're going to spend more for an 11-year-old than you are for a 2-year-old. So, but that was up to each committee. You don't exceed the budget. But they were good. Other than that, and I remember we asked Ben and his wife to join us because both Mom and I, we had 2 boys, of course, and Alex and his wife, they had 2 boys. So we needed to balance this committee somehow. So. It was a fun thing. We just get together, and of course that's back in the days when Kitty City was in business, the one that went to ashes there one night. So, yeah, that was a fun thing, and it was not a heavy run fire company. They never had it's not like an Ardmore or Bryn Mawr that you're talking 600, 700 fires a year, calls a year, I shouldn't say fire, but calls a year, which is a lot of activity. That really is, it's, so, but I steer clear of a lot of things. I never got on the board of directors. Well, I used to say, oh, why don't you run for, no, board of directors. At that time, I was very active in the board of directors of the church. I said, no, I've had enough volunteer groups, and one volunteer group is all one should be obliged to do.
How about going to fires? What was that like? I mean, the first time you're going to a...
Well, the first time was always interesting because, the first time I hadn't been to school yet. I'd signed up and got my equipment and all, and I was scheduled to go to school sometime that, I forget when, in a couple of months, whenever the openings came up. And one nice summer day, one of the houses over on, I think it was Henley, got hit with lightning. Bedroom did. And it just cooked everything in there. The TV exploded, and it was hot. There was three of us there. It was Phil Delphi. You may or may not remember Phil. He was a captain at that time. It was his son, who is now a Presbyterian minister, and myself, and the driver. I forgot. I think John was driving. So the three of us. That's it. It was a summer day. It was work day. I was off for some reason. And there we roll up on this fire, So that was quite an experience. I mean, you try and remember things you were told, but you realize you have never been through it yet. You hadn't, So, but yeah, we survived that one. That was, fortunately, Ardmore came down to assist. Daytime fires, you always had assistance there. But that was a novel experience. I never forgot that. We should remind Phil if I see him around with him about my first fire.
Did you go in and?
Yeah, there was only two of us. It was only, well, like I said, the captain stayed outside. He had to direct things. So it was just his son and myself. That was it. We're the only two guys there. And that was the first thing you learn. I said, you never know what you're going to run into in the course of a day. You may run into nothing. So you've got to be ready to take charge of things, even if you're not real comfortable with it at the time. Yeah, we knocked the fire down. It was just a matter of getting the smoke out, getting the heat down. It was awful. The fire was like I said, in the front bedroom. The bathroom was all in the back of the house, down the hall. The tile melted back in the bathroom. So it gets hot. Lesson number one. Things ignite, like clothing and fabric and stuff. That just ignites from the heat. So it was an interesting experience. And then, of course, I was very glad to get to school where they teach you about hose evolutions and, all the intricacies, what goes on behind you, so that you know what you're doing in front. I mean, it's a lot to learn. I keep in touch once in a while now. I go down to some of the meetings and things, and the technical aspects of firefighting has progressed, tenfold. Today, if you don't have at least a couple of classes behind you, completed classes, with certificates, they'd be foolish to let you on a truck. It's that technically involved. So it's come a long way. It means, of course, that you're consuming a lot more time consumed. In fact, now you're going to have to wind up being state certified, and eventually they figure in order to keep your any kind of subsidies coming in from the government, you're going to probably have to wind up getting some federal certifications. Because your title is changed more now just from a firefighter to a first responder, which means a lot more involved. They run a hazmat team down there now. They have their own trailer. So if you show up on a hazmat scene, you have to be able to work that situation. Firefighting is always, and of course they've been in auto rescue now for a number of years, which is another whole thing.
That's got to be hard to, looking at someone's house and any injuries and fatalities and the car accidents, you're most sure to see that. Yeah,
we've had people leave after that. I told you the story, Alex Turco, of course. He came back from that one accident and just took his coat off the rack and put it underneath the desk and left. Never came back. Understood. It's not for everybody. It's not something that... and if it's really a traumatic thing, sometimes too, you'll get They will bring counselors in if the chief feels it's necessary. And afterwards, there's almost always some kind of like a little debriefing up in the club room anyway. Kind of talk it out a little bit. Yeah, it's a tough deal. I don't. We again, because of where we're positioned, you can't get any further out of the township or out of Montgomery County than where the firehouse is located. You could throw a stone and hit Delaware County, and it wouldn't take much more of a heave to hit Philadelphia County from where we're located. So we didn't get a lot of the big action. A lot of assist, up on the pike. But the guys who really do the work are the guys in Belmont Hills who are out on the expressway daily, sometimes 3 and 4 calls on there. Now they have a whole other program with I forget which hospital they were, it may be osteopathic. And what they'll do, I think they take a couple of the guys there, give them room and board, and of course they're residents, so they run the rescue, but they're there to tend to the patients. They're not there for extrication or anything, firefighting or anything. But it's a lot. It takes a lot to keep it going, and a lot of new skills. And every time they bring out some new design on a car, you got to know what it is. Airbags became a real serious problem until people learned how to work around them. All those shock absorbed bumpers you have, anytime you have shock absorbers, you got fluid under pressure. Yeah. Excessive heat, you got explosions. Gas tanks are always, they're just taboo. Yeah, you steer clear of them.
So did you like doing the firefighting part? I mean, I know it was a great...
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. It was a shame in a way because, of course, you did see a lot of damaged houses and damaged people's property got damaged. We were very fortunate in not having any great number of fire deaths, which puts a whole other slant on things that you're doing. But yeah, I found it rewarding. I thought we were serving the community, doing the service for the community. So.
I mean, I have very strong memories of being in that back alley. The bell goes off, the alarm goes off, and you didn't even take the car. You just tear ass down the alley, leap over a few hedges, and you were there in about a minute. Yeah,
well, even when we moved up here, parking there was always extremely limited. There was hardly any parking lot there. So if you got your car in there, you couldn't get your car out of there. So no, driving there was a nightmare. That's something you just didn't do. No, that was an easy run. Once I left there, of course, being on the first truck out was out of the question. I mean, that at that point, whatever hasn't left, that's yours. This is why when Warren took over, he insisted I start driving. Something else I never had any great particular desire to do, but because I was coming a distance now, and would be later on, he said, why don't you just take up the driving part? And even after I hurt my ankle that time, when I ruptured the Achilles tendon. I said, don't put the gear on, just come on down. Sitting here, take it out, get it on the road.
How did Mom feel about you joining the firehouse and staying?
She never objected. Well, there was one major objection though. Not vocally. Again, I've considered myself a responsible individual and certainly knew how to take care of myself most of the time. So it wasn't a risky thing as far as I was concerned. As long as you're trained to know what you're doing and the people around you know what they're doing. And that's another evaluation you always make. Sometimes even if you're just going out casually with a group of guys, a group of guys are going to go out and have fun. They might have a few beers, and then hey, it's a laugh and let's go home. And then there are guys you go out with that are just always bent for trouble. I mean, some guys just don't know how to deal with the world. No different here, except here you're the guy standing next to you, maybe saving your hide. And it's a little bit more dangerous, but the same aspect. You always have to know who you're dealing with. The guy next to you is important. The guy behind you, like I said, just maybe the guy that grab you by the coat and pull you out of something. No, it was a good experience. I'm glad I did it. It was something I thoroughly enjoyed for years.
we talked about, having young kids.
Mm-hmm.
We get older. Kind of take us through I don't know where we left off, but, I guess grade school, middle school, high school. What was that? That's a whole other level.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was interesting, of course. That I said we progressed to the point where we got talking about when you were infants. I always said, the thing I really was waiting for you guys to be able to talk and put sentences together so I knew what the problems were. School wasn't any particular problem, and Mom handled a lot of the school problems. I let the teacher do the teaching work. And of course she was home during the day too, so she had the opportunity to go up and talk to people. And there were problems. There's always problems. There's always head bumping. It's you guys are growing, and this teacher has a certain way of doing things, and it's the world of compromise. And it's something you got to learn, and it's a good lesson to learn. Although you don't get any credit for it, it's a good lesson to learn. Certainly, David had a few bumps and things with people. And there were teachers there too that weren't particularly, we thought responded. He was always a member of the choir. He loved choir and work. And I can't remember which choir director that was. One time Mom had to go up, and he was complaining to her. He said, well, his voice is changing. He said he really can't sing where he is now. And Mom's just standing there like, and? You know what I mean? So she said, look, just tell him, don't stand there. Stand over here. She said, you got to understand, David, if anything that sounds like a suggestion is an option, there are zero, and you learn that right away with David. You don't, he was never one of those kids like, eat your peas or you're not going to get up from the table. That was an option. Oh, let me see, how long can I sit here? Does it matter if I get up tonight? Or, it just didn't work. Other than that, I guess the only real problem, you were certainly not a problem. You were easily intimidated, see, so the teacher, you always went along with whatever the teacher said. That was cool. That was not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Easy to please, I like to say.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, that's it.
Well,
yes.
Pleaser, more than.
Well,
yes,
yeah.
Intimidated too.
Yeah, that's it. Well, yeah, that's. But that all works in. That's nothing. As long as you're not sacrificing your principles, And I think one of the big lessons that we try to teach both of you guys, and I think you learned, is that these people teachers and administrators, have an awful lot of influence over your life for those 12 years. They really do. I mean, bad record or bad comments on your record and things like that. It doesn't look good if you're trying to at some point get into a college somewhere, or somebody wants your transcript. It doesn't pay. So you don't like the guy. Who cares? 15 weeks later or whatever it was, he's out of your life. So now, other than the what was that fiasco? Over at the Marion School, they were doing that Montessori type classes, and they were going around the district, sort of forming a cadre of students who were academically excelling. And of course, all the parents thought this was a wonderful thing. Wow, this is the future. This is what you want to do. Everybody should be, So they sent a letter home, and Mom wasn't working at that time anyway. So she went on up and talked to these people. And I don't know whether it was the counselor at Penn or maybe someone from Marion was also there. And after they were done with their spiel, Mom said, "There's no way. There's no way he's going into that class." He said, and she was right. He said, if you give him an option, he'll pick up a book and sit in the corner and read it all day. She said, now, as far as him volunteering to go to the math group or to this group, no, it's not going to happen. I said, that's not, it's got to be structured. You got to say, so much time for this and so much time for that. And his teacher understood that. His teacher said, no, she said, I agree with you. I said, we didn't recommend. That just came off the total grade accumulations that the district has. That's how they handed it over to these people. But there was never any great hassles. Never any great hassles. It went along, and of course, by the time you hit high school, I probably didn't know half the crap that went on anyway. And that's okay. At some point, you got to learn to do it. Without handle it properly. I don't mean to get nasty or sarcastic about it, but how to handle it properly. No, that wasn't.
We didn't get that much trouble. Yeah, we were actually pretty good.
Yeah,
But there was
absolutely.
a
Yeah.
strong sense of consequence, I think, that was instilled.
Well, that's true too. Well, the old line, without consequences is anarchy, and I just didn't feel like putting up with that. I seen enough anarchy in the '60s. No, that was enough for me. But no, you're right, and it didn't fit in, didn't belong. If there was a problem that was out of your reach, then that's what Mom and I were there for. And I always said, hey, there's a problem, give us a call. I'm glad to go up and talk to people. I have no compunction about that. And that's I know they're the authority in that situation, but then their authority stops when I come, because now we got to talk about this. I'm not asking you to manage my family. I'm asking you to teach my family. Now, if you can't manage them, then we got to sit down and talk about it. That's all. It wasn't, nothing nasty about it.
Your mom talked a little bit last night about, doing a character moral building, and the school's sort of part of it, and
Yeah.
got a little bit into. Do you know how we got into to join the church and the whys? And because Mom was really kind of admittedly agnostic and definitely didn't want to do anything Catholic, and you guys
Yes.
didn't go to, you didn't get raised in the church. How did we wind up going to church?
Oh, that was a consensus between your mother and I. We felt at the time, as you were getting older, that you should have some religious background. Whether you maintained it, whether you took to it, it was just, but you should have some background. It's kind of it's part of the question of who you are. Just like to say, work defines you. Well, a lot of things define you. Your family does, and certainly I think a religious background does. Probably less and less today, but I think those people are missing something. I think if you're something of a traditionalist, which I think we are, that's part of tradition. Now, how far you take it, what you actually believe, and what you take from it, I can't throw on your head. It's just like I can't pour algebra in your head. Well, I can't pour religion in your head either. So, but exposure is the important thing. And the idea that it is a community. Anybody tells you that a church, we'll pick on church word, it's not a social organization is missing the point. It's extremely social, and that's what it's all about. It's the gathering of people with some like interests and sharing other interests. Actually, it was the Sibleys. They were members, of course, there at the church, and asked us. Obviously didn't take much asking, because they knew we weren't Sunday. There we weren't going anywhere, and as I said, the consensus between Mom and I was, we really should somewhere. And the Episcopal seemed to hit the midpoint. It wasn't fundamentalist. It wasn't, rigid as the Catholic Church was, or had its faith based in things that we could not agree on. We were married in the Catholic Church, but that was a different story. That's, again, part of tradition. Didn't matter to me. That's, I'm saying, it's a legal. In this world, it's both legal and religious together. I didn't want to go in front of a judge. That's another issue. Neither of us would have done that. That was not. We were both too much traditionalists for that. But anyway, there was the Sibleys that convinced us to look into it, and they had John Kolb, of course, stop over and talk to us for a while. He's a very impressive guy to talk to. Very bright man. Very quick, and enjoyed being there. It was another whole social thing, of course, and with the Kleins and the Spencers and Zaccaros, and I was thinking of some of those names today. And that was a fun time. It was a crazy time, but it was a fun time. And of course, after that, you get involved in things. We ran the Sunday school for a number of years. Mom, of course, was a teacher. I was the leg guy, herding people around, moving them here, doing that. And I wound up on the board, of course, which is like, oh, what a mistake this is. That's there's a lot of nice things about volunteer organizations of all types, until you get in. It's like watching sausage being made. You just don't want to get on the board of directors of anything. It's just like, and volunteer organizations are the worst. They're not getting paid, and yet people are a pain in the ass. I mean, geez, what is the problem here? You know, we used to spend hours in some of those Sunday meetings. You had a beautiful day like today, and there you were, Sunday, it's after church, it's 12:30, you know, and we're all sitting around this room in something that should take an hour. And you've got people, you know, bringing their committee work to the committee of the whole. That's the first thing used to annoy me. You know, that was your challenge. Just bring the idea. We'll accept it or reject it. If we reject it, it goes back to you and your group, not me. We had a treasurer that obviously never had a conversation in his life except in church. He'd talk on, nobody had any idea what he was talking about. There were a lot of things that changed for the better over the years as people retired and other people took certain things over. But it was interesting. You learn a lot about church, a lot about church people, I guess is what it's really all about. I mean, the church isn't that stone edifice sitting there in the park. You know, it's the people inside. That's the church. And certainly it was another interesting challenge when I became rector's warden. They wanted me to take the senior warden job. I said, no way. I said, I have no intention of doing that job. You know, running the Sunday school and doing the crafts fair every year, running the spaghetti dinners and all that jazz, that's cool. But so they had this position they wanted to fill as rector's warden. Okay. So that was another interesting challenge for people.
Yeah, you mentioned a few of those stories over the years. I got the sense, though, when you left the church, not so much for religious reasons.
No, that was one thing I never believed in. I don't mean you use the word. I don't mean talking about religion. I didn't believe in having to get mad about something in order to leave. I saw people there when we were there when they went from the old what was it, 1928 hymnal to the new version or the prayer book. People got all up in arms. Oh, this is terrible. You can't. This is tradition. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? It's like things are moving forward here, people. Now, I got the sense later on that some of these people were mad about something else. They weren't honest with themselves to bring the issue out and say, listen, can't stand this guy's guts. You know, I'm getting out of here. He's a pain. I can't work with him. So they make these whole issues about things, then leave in a huff. You know, and they're angry. And then, you know, people are standing around, particularly membership people, saying, you know, how did we lose those people? Why did they leave? You know, we're all standing there. I don't know why they left. No, I didn't leave for those reasons. It was just an accumulation of things. And sometimes you say, it seems like the end of it to me. No. I never renounced the church or my religion or what I believe in. Just that somehow the people there just didn't weigh in anymore.
Mom gave kind of an impromptu philosophical religious reviews last night. It was interesting what she believed and not believed. I don't know if you're willing to do the same thing, but hers is more of a not one path to God type of view. But what is your religious philosophical view, if you have one?
Gee, I don't know if I could. I'm not sure if I wrapped that up in so many words. My religious.
It's very difficult to articulate, and so don't want to put you on the spot.
No, well, you won't know. I'll just ignore it. No,
I guess one. Do you believe in God? And,
I believe in a supreme being. Yes, I do. There's no question in my mind. I find it difficult when I hear and read about people who are doing things in the name of a God, whatever God they believe in, that to me seem absolutely shameful. This is not the Crusades. Going around shooting people and crucifying people in the name of God or whatever God it is, it's just, it's an aberration to me. I don't understand that. It's hard to express exact philosophy here. I'm kind of a fundamentalist in a way, I guess. I don't understand creationists. I don't understand them at all. Why they don't think there was a superior being or a superior hand in evolution, I don't know. Why wasn't there a superior conducting the whole process of evolution. Why was it? What makes creationism some, whatever, they go back 50 years or whatever, their historical construction. So a lot of things I don't understand, and maybe because, again, I become pretty much of a somewhat of a fundamentalist. I don't believe in literal interpretation. I just find that another kind of very short-sighted thing. And of course, a lot of people say, well, there's no scientific proof of this or that. Or no, you got to remember what they call this. They call it faith. Now, faith can, in some aspects, can be backed by science or can be somewhat proven out by science. But the Bible is not a basic book of high school physics, or science. It isn't. It is a book of faith. And they got to remember that the writers of the book over the years spoke to essentially an uneducated, untrained mass of people. And they spoke in parables. And they had meanings. They had to have a meaning. If I were to explain something to you that was very complicated from my life, what I did for my living, at no point in using jargon that makes no sense to you. Okay, so if I were a man of the times who was educated, and there were very few of them, most educated through churches, religious organizations, trying to explain it to the masses of farm workers, field workers, you're going to get nowhere. So I've got to bring my conversation down to what they understand. And if they understand the harvest and the wheat and the grain and the evolution of times and seasons and whatever it is there, or why the analogy about a rich man can't get into the kingdom of heaven is like passing a camel through the eye of a needle. Well, that a camel they understand, the eye of a needle they understand, and the bizarreness of it they understand. So there's a lot to religion that people seem to entangle. I don't know. I'm not quite sure why. And it's okay. You can differ whatever you want. I don't tell people what to believe. I wouldn't be so presumptuous. But I do think it's nice that you believe in something. That's first of all. And as far as insisting that people believe what you believe, that's where I draw the line. I see you can't insist that I tell me anything. Yeah, I mean, you don't live inside my head. And there's a lot of ways to look at things. A lot of words that are used in the good books that I don't think are clearly defined to people. I don't think they have any idea what it means. And of course, if you're a Christian, you have one side of things that's coming at you, and if you're a Muslim or whatever, you have other factors involved. I'm not sure. Well, again, like I say, you get back to the Crusades. You're going to love this religion if I have to kill you. I'm sorry. That doesn't hold weight. I don't know what my philosophy exactly is, but that isn't it.
Do you think there's an afterlife, or hope there is?
I think there is something after. Now, when you speak about afterlife or reincarnations or resurrections, or I'm not talking about this. This is gone. This is dust. Now, you have met, and I know I have met, people with what I thought were old souls. I don't know where the spirit goes. Now so I'm not talking about, if I talk about an afterlife, it's not this body. I'm not going to be sitting on a cloud somewhere with a pair of wings, or a pitchfork either, for that matter, analyzing the life. But I'm not sure how many souls are in the world. I've met some very young people who had, just insight and wisdom into things that I feared that they just be hard pressed to believe that it accumulated that in a short period of time. So if I were to believe in an afterlife, have I been here before? I don't know. Nobody ever came back to tell me. And if I were to believe in an afterlife, it certainly wouldn't be as in body as you see. As in soul, yeah, why not? It's that intangible thing that is beyond human comprehension.
It's the I don't know that makes me comfortable. It's the people that definitely know what's going to happen. Where I guess I think if you don't know, I'm like, well, it could be this, could be that. That's my comfort level. When someone's so confident about their religious view, I'm always like, oh, well, that'd be nice to have, I guess, in one sense.
Well, yeah, if you believe
But
in black and white.
don't have it. I don't have it at all.
No, if you believe in black and white, that's fine. I don't believe an awful lot of black and white in a lot of things. And certainly religion, because again, we go back to the word, it's faith. It's a matter of faith. You've got to have faith in whatever it is, your teachings that you're reading. If you don't, if you lose faith in what's being said and what's being taught, then nobody has seen God that I know of and came back to tell me about it, or whatever is beyond. If you believe that there's a heaven and there's a hell and there's, two pearly gates that you have to, I don't know. Why you would want to worry about that, I don't know. It doesn't seem to me, that doesn't mean, I guess I don't mean to discourage living a good life. I don't mean to downgrade that issue, but I'm certainly not going to worry about, what I do on a day-to-day basis is live the best I can. I will do everything the best I can. At the end of the day, that's what I am. Some days you're proud of it, some days you're not. But as long as you know why you're not, maybe that gets you into the redemption side of things. If you believe in the blood of Christ that was given for your redemption, then that's it. That whole thing about talking to God and of course this is where we differ with the Catholic Church greatly, but intermediary says, no, I don't believe in that. The intermediary in my faith, in my religion, died, and the blood shed was the redemption. That price has been paid. Now you can come to the Father only through me, and I'm into that. My soul, what they take is, I'm sure. I mean, if they dig that bag of bones up 100 years from now, it'll probably still be preserved in that cement vault. Now that ain't going nowhere, and who cares? I mean, if I am nothing more than what you see dressed in a pair of pants and a shirt, then somehow I missed the boat. I didn't get my message across. So afterlife's an interesting concept, an interesting conversation.
It's not something you think about or worry about too much.
No. I move ahead. I just keep moving. I don't have a lot of worry about things like that. And maybe that lack of worry is the fact that I feel comfortable with who I am and what I believe. And I don't have this black and white view particularly. I guess I got to get back to this point eventually. I've met too many hypocrites, okay? and many of them walking inside a building. And don't misunderstand me. A church is filled with sinners. If you weren't a sinner, if you were the perfect person, you wouldn't need to go to a church. Why would you be going there if you were perfect? So yeah, you're all sinners, and that's fine. But don't hand me the thing because you walk into any building on any given day of the week. That's the end of the ball game. And a lot of people do. That's it. Go in 20 minutes, you're in and out, and there you are. Somebody has prayed for you. Whoa, that's it. Why? Why did you pray for yourself? Why? Who are you praying to? And what are you praying to? And you can't answer that. I mean, if you get into a conversation with an atheist, it's a difficult conversation. No, I don't. Like I said, the Bible is not an elementary school science book. What was said, what was written, what was meant, how it was to be interpreted here 3,000 years later or whatever. So I walk carefully around that, but I am who I am. I don't have any fears if I walk into a temple or a synagogue or a mosque or any place else that anything's going to change who I am. Nothing. There is no building built that's going to change who I am. There used to be an awful lot. Well, geez, if you walk in that church over there, you just might be. If I am, then I don't believe in what I say I believe in. If you believe in what you say you believe, then you are going to a better place. If you don't, then maybe you better take a step back and see what you believe. That's very individual. I would never try and convince anybody that my way's the highway.
A little bit of shift of gears.
Good.
I want to ask you, it's funny, you didn't talk about this much growing up, but it had to be a big impact in your daily life. But tell me when you were diagnosed with diabetes and what that meant and how it affected you.
Having been a roughneck most of my life, not a lot. It was not a surprising diagnosis. It's weird. Sometimes I always try to listen to my body, only because I used to abuse it. I mean, I was just a rough kid. That's all. I was just this crazy kid that never got in a lot of trouble. I just did strange things. And I was running. I told you about this. I was running to a fire one night, coming up the alley, and I was really chugging up the driveway, and I got this sharp pain across my back. I thought that's something. I mean, I've never had that before. And within a few weeks thereafter, I noticed I always drank. I was always a thirsty guy. I could drink a quart of water, and but I noticed it seemed to be more, and I was losing weight. That was my sign. See, I didn't gain. I was losing weight. So it wasn't more than a couple of weeks. I went over to Dr. Silver and had him test, and that was it. Whatever gave out. The pancreas, I guess, or whatever it was. If something just affected it. So yeah, and while I suspected, and while I was thinking about that, I thought, now what? I felt like the dog that caught the car. Now what? Now what do we do now? But he was old school, and he was very calm about things. And he was good to have for those first several years, because he was not a guy that got excited. He said, they don't have a cure for this. You're going to have to learn to live with this. You're going to have to adjust. But, it was never a lot of advice I give to people who are diagnosed as being a diabetic first time they've heard that word. First thing I tell you is don't get paranoid about this. First of all, we're all different. My body held up very well under diabetic conditions. I treated it realistically, didn't get excited. Some days your blood pressure goes up, some days your sugar goes up, and without explanation. Don't worry about it. Bring it back down, level it off. If you did something bad, just try and remember, can't do that again. If you ate something that affected you, things you can't do anymore. There are things you can cut out easily. Eating, well, I love to eat, is one of the ones you can control. Activity, that's another thing. I was at that point in my life had too far to go, too far that I wanted to go. I have no idea how far I'm going to go. But too far I wanted to go, both with my family and my job and the other things that I was engaged in. I want to stay active. This is who I want to be. So I kind of followed a lot of rules, but tried to please myself along the way. I wanted to stay mentally healthy, even though physically I had a problem. That's another one of those juggling operations you got to go through. You got to be careful not to get paranoid about things. Your body can sometimes beat you up. It's the whole thing about this leg. When it went, wasn't exactly fun. I wasn't exactly thinking about how much joy this is going to be. And sitting around for 6 months was a killer. I don't do well inactive. I'm a hands-on person.
Yeah.
So, and all your Uncle Bob kept asking me is, how can you have so much patience? I wasn't given a choice. Give me a choice and I'll show you what it's like not to have patience. But so yeah, that was a jar. Even though I had very good feelings about why I went to him. I went to him specifically and asked for that test. It wasn't just a visit or anything where it was diagnosed. But again, your physician is critical at this point. So it's I feel I've done okay with it. It's manageable.
done great with it.
you know, but you can't get yourself into a knot, you know, and I find a lot of people who survive many things. Cancer is another baddie. That's something that you know, emotionally, you can drive you right in the ground. You could just fade away to nothing. Then there are people who just plain resist. They'll fight it. And you see them 5 and 6 and 8 years later when they were supposed to have been dead years ago. I don't know about the will to live thing, but it must be something like that. Whether that will to live is simply a strong will not to die, or whether it's a will to do everything you can to stay alive. There's a difference in the two.
Well, you were 32, is right? This is
33.
33, 72, 73 range? So you're 1972?
Yeah, somewhere right back in there.
That's
Yeah,
33.
yeah, 33, right? Yeah, that'll be that. 32.
So you're a young man.
Yeah.
This is, you know, it's been 40 years almost. So has it changed? Has it, you know, is there anything different than 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago?
Yeah, 30 some years older. You have to be careful about that too. Yeah, I'm sure the diabetic condition has deteriorated some things. A lot of things you get more prone to. Heart attacks, loss of limbs, eyesight's a baddie. But then again, physically, you know, you also deteriorate. By the time you start crossing the 70 mark, you start deteriorating, period. But I stay as active as I can, you know, without overdoing it, understanding that even if I were without the disease, you know, there's a certain point in the day when you say, well, that's it, I'm tired, I gotta knock off, otherwise I'm gonna injure myself. But you know, you just keep going. Pardon me. Ooh.
Take a break after this one. I think we have 10 more minutes or so, and we'll
Yeah.
go to Mom.
Yeah. So that's all part of it. And again, part of it's just not being paranoid about what's happening and trying to live with what you have.
Yeah, I've put myself in that spot. It's funny, you know, last several years, especially since becoming a parent, I thought, you know, where was Dad at this age? Of course, you had at this age from 40. How old am I? 41. You had your kids were older and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
house and so I'm always trying to, you know, same with Pop, like, what's going on? He's World War II or all that stuff going on, like, well, just comparing the situation somewhat. But I always thought, God, I don't know how I'd react to becoming diabetic, and still it may happen. I'm still vulnerable.
Yeah, yeah. Can be somewhat genetic. I'm sorry.
So I've always thought, oh, you know, you've always handled it so well, at least in front of me. But
Well, I kept that my business. I mean, Mom knows pretty much about the situation that I'm in,
yeah.
but I don't do a lot of talking about it, unless to other diabetics. I know when Fred became a diabetic, he became concerned, and we sat down, we talked for a while about it, and because now the other thing that was extremely to my advantage was I was not very fluctuating in my blood sugars. Yeah, no, if I cheated, yeah, it went up. I mean, I'm not saying that, but you know, I could, if I behaved myself, be very stable. Well, some people can't. I mean, it's day to day and hour to hour sometimes where your blood sugar is racing up and down, and I don't know what causes, and it depends on how rapidly the pancreas you know, shuts down, and what shut it down. You know, whether it was some kind of an injury or a disease of some kind, whether it's, you know. So there's a lot of causes. It's like anything else, you know, you just can't make, there's no great one answer for things, other than the fact you just try and control your emotions and keep just moving, keep your sights focused on what you want. And you got to sacrifice things. Like I said, I love to eat. Biggest disappointment. I can't, you know, man, I could just, that's why sometimes it's better for me to have a sunny day and be outside working. If I'm sitting around here and by end of third rainy day here, I'm grazing all day. I just can't stop eating. It's like the hand just automatically bends to my mouth. Bad thing.
And Grandma was diagnosed around the same time.
Yeah, right in that same time. Of course, she was you know, very much adult onset. Now, my grandmother had a terrible attitude about her health. obviously she smoked till the day she died. So what am I telling you? You know, but there again, that really isn't what got her. I mean, it was really lung cancer or throat cancer. I don't know. You know, anyway, somewhere the esophagus or the lungs. So I don't know. What do you say? Something's going to get you eventually? Yeah, I guess.
So boy, her mother lived to be 96.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her grandma died at 80, so she probably would have lived probably at least to 90 or so.
Yeah, yeah, having taken care of herself, she would no question put on several more years. Yeah.
She was just to get back to grandma. Like, what was it like having your mom move in with you? And I guess you're in your 30s when grandma moved in.
That was no problem. Your grandmother was an extremely flexible individual, having gone through some tough times in her life. You know, married, divorced, losing 2 children, well, losing 3 children, because Bob didn't live with her. Second marriage was good for her. Was good for her. I guess, and perhaps probably a set of critical parents. I'm sure they weren't happy about the fact that she was divorced, and probably never liked her first husband anyway. As they certainly never liked Phyllis's husband. You know, he was even allowed in the house at some points. I mean, so they were older and critical about things like that. That's just how they viewed things, how they viewed their position. But yeah, no, she had no doubt that years to go, she was otherwise in good condition. I mean, she didn't wither away. She wasn't a small woman when she died, and was extremely sedentary. No question about that. I mean, you can't read all those books and be active on things. But she worked a lot of years, so it's
It was great for us, you know, particularly for me. Towards the end of her life, I got even closer with her because I was older, was able to talk more, and she told great stories. Probably the best storyteller I've ever met.
Yeah.
But I was, you know, looking back, I thought how lucky I was to have her living with us. But what was your perspective on it? It was great for me.
No, that was not a problem. It was the first struggle was moving them out of that house on Belmar. And of course, that was the problem. My grandmother was, you know, she was the hold up there. That was her house. But I said it's not working anymore. It's just, you know, again, it was a problem. I can't get there as often as I'd like to, and the neighborhood went to seed. Anyway, so we finally moved them over to Milburn over there, an apartment. It was nice. And after she passed, of course, my mother decided to stay independent. So she would come and stay with us for a while. Then she'd go back. Then she'd stay with us, stay with us a little longer. And it was really your mother. She said, this is goofy. She said, your mother's over there paying all that rent. She says she's here with us at least half the time. It doesn't make any sense. She said, yeah. And they got along great. My mother was not somebody that was going to tell you how to keep house. Forget that with my mother. Yeah, she had no way. She gave a damn the house fell down. But, you know, and she certainly didn't tell anybody how to cook anything. She was a great soul, but cook, man. I never realized how good some foods were until I got married. So, in fact, I think there was a question, something like that your mother asked me early on in our life together, and it was something like about comparing, you know, her to my mother and this sort of thing. I said, well, here's the deal. I said, if you cook as good as my mother, this marriage ain't gonna make it. She's a wonderful soul. I said, you'll love her, but you know, just keep her away from the range.
Yeah, I do remember that. It doesn't say time. We'll just keep going. It's still rolling, so. Hello?
Yeah? Okay.
So yeah, I remember her, you know.
Yeah, so it was a lot of moms doing. I had no problem with that. She was not an intrusive individual. In fact, we had a heck of a time sometimes just getting her down to join us for dinner. You know, come on down, the food's on the table. You know what I mean? But she had this weird schedule anyway. She was a night person. I mean, all night person. You know, I mean, I don't know what time she went to bed. The sun was coming up. So that was the only thing that we both thought was a little strange. But I grew up that way. I mean, you know, you couldn't wake up in the house without smelling a pot of coffee on. no matter what hour it was, or the dishwasher, or the washing machine running, or the dryer running, or So it was. I think she went to bed after I left for school. She was had this anyway. No, she was not an intrusive individual. She stayed as much as she could to herself and did her own thing, and so that was. And I think Mom enjoyed having her because they're both avid readers, so that was always a fun thing they both shared. And I think her Nana Pop liked her too.
Yeah.
So no, that was a very. But again, I wouldn't suggest that to everybody. I mean, people have asked me about that situation because they run into it's a common thing to run into. So I couldn't possibly advise you on that. No more than I would advise Mark and Linda about her mother and father moving in with them. I said, I just don't. I don't give advice. I don't tell people how to raise their children. I said, I don't know. And I said, it's a day-to-day, person-to-person thing. People make a lot of things. You see a lot of people on television telling their story. When they this, that, or the other thing went wrong with this kid or that kid or their parent or whatever, and they say, "Oh, but I love my children." Well, now let's stop a minute. It's almost like defining faith again. Define what you mean by that. Can you give me an example of that? It's hard. It's hard. I never write a book. I don't know. Sit down and talk to people one-to-one, but you got to get a feel for what a person thinks is necessary to do in a situation. Here's a situation. What are you going to do if you're in that? If you've got a parent that's out there somewhere, what do you propose to do? My sister's mom's friend, Rosemary, with her mother now. She's well into her 90s, living by herself in Millville. Her sister doesn't live all that far away, but it's like, water and vinegar, oil, it just doesn't mix. And what I gather about her sister, she's got a screw loose. Well, I don't know where you're going to take that. You've answered the question. It's not going to work. So why are you going to beat this poor old lady up at this stage in her life? She's sharp mentally. She's deteriorating physically. Of course, she's in her 90s. So.
Do you remember when Nana Pop-Up were, on the edge of going into the home, out in the home? It's the first time I heard that in all day.
I forgot that was on.
Your line was what? Tape's going. 5 more minutes.
What was it about Graham Pop? Nana Pop?
You said if I make it to this age, ain't no one telling me what to do.
Yeah.
It's been filed in the back of it. So which I figured, yeah, it's probably right.
Yeah. Well, having said that, however, there were other decisions to make. It was your Nana.
Turn it off.
Yeah, I forget that's on. It doesn't come on that often. There were other decisions to make with regarding her, and I remember at the time she was. I can remember she was at Harvard Hospital, was it, or something? Yeah, it was before she went home, and we were going to bring her home, but we first had to get the house ready. There was physical things we needed in the house, a walker and cane, and we needed to get certain things done in the house, get it ready, and we needed all this preparation we had to do. And Mom called me that afternoon and said, they've informed my mother that she's going home today. I said, well, that's not going to work. I said, the house isn't ready. So I don't know whether I got home early or not that, though. Anyway, I went over to the hospital, and I met the nurse. I said, I understand you're going. Oh, yeah, she said, she's going to be discharged tomorrow morning. She said, you can't do that. I explained to her that things aren't ready in the house. I said, she's coming home. We know she's got problems, and she's going to need certain aids to exist there. Well, and her line was, well, who's going to tell her now? I said, I guess that's my job. What are you going to do? It wasn't not a pleasant job, but it's unfair to take her home.
Yeah.
because then she'll be so uncomfortable that, you know.
That
So.
was an odyssey, 5 years, something like that.
Yeah, that was a long time. She was tough, man. I'll tell you, she was she was a tough lady. She baffled hospice to no end, but that was good, I guess. She was, you know, it was just tough seeing her that way. I just remember her in such a different manner that it's very hard to see somebody go that way.
Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah, it's.
Grandma had the right idea.
Yeah, she simply was scheduled for that bronchoscopy there the following week, and she said, "No way, I'm going." She knew what it was, and that was it. Okay, don't argue. Like I said, but I'd like to see her stop smoking. Yeah, would she? No. Say, when you get to that age, nobody's telling me what to do either. You know what I mean? Going to die. No kidding. If you don't know by now that when you come in, you're going out, I don't know what to tell you. Somewhere you missed the whole lesson. So, yeah, they were a tough few years. You know, but there were a lot of people that were a help. Particularly those people that, you know, lived in with Pop for a while. And Aunt Linda's friend there was there with her for a while. She was a character. Ramona, yeah. She's doing well. She's doing well.
That's good.
Yeah, still hear about her.
Pretty sure that's the. Yeah, we have under a minute.
Okay, well, we're